it was such a fundamental change for them. And I know we heard about it. So I'd love to hear how it's impacting your community in London.
No, thank you so much for that question. And I think one of the things that we don't talk about is, which is actually, facts, and there's some data to support that. Um, Millennial women are not having children as much as everyone else was. And I think if we ran a survey to figure out why that is, childcare could be one of them. Like Karina just mentioned, sometimes childcare is as expensive as a mortgage. Imagine choosing between having, to pay a mortgage or having a child. And I hear this, so often. Like I was born in Burundi, right? Like my culture, we have a lot of like a lot of children. My mom has 21 brothers and sisters. And I can't say the same for my cousins. Like all of my cousins right now, we are not thinking children. We're not thinking more than one or two, because you have to think about the cost of living for those children. So when you make it accessible for people to actually not have to choose between having a child, having a family, and going to work, it has a huge impact. It has a huge impact on our economy, because we're making it possible for men to go to work, which means we are growing the bodies of people who are participating in the workforce. And it has a huge impact on our economy and how money flows through, and people can actually safely take their children to childcare and go to work. It's yes, it's taken some time to get to this place, especially with our province, Ontario. Karina will know all about those discussions. But like you said, we heard about it at the doors. This was one of the most important issue that people wanted to talk about, and it continues to be. And if you pair it up with the child tax benefit that's been done in the past, that we know has lifted families and children out of poverty, the childcare, the $10 childcare benefit is like just an extra to say, we hear you, we're here for you, and we want to make sure that you don't have to choose between having a family and going to work. And that's good for economy, it's good for our society, it's good for the future of Canada.
Oh gosh, I wonderful. I couldn't agree more. I mean, not only the childcare is just the latest benefit and the Canada Child Benefit and all the other works we're doing as allowed to as I look at both of you, these incredible young, like aggressive, progressive people who the work that you're doing and I know that what you're meeting in your communities are amazing young people who are starting new businesses. I mean, one of the things we've seen so much during the pandemic and as we're leading out of it is this incredible entrepreneurship that's come, and a lot of it has come from women and second businesses and I think that what you have both articulated has really helped that. I'd love to talk a little bit about what you're seeing from that in your local communities around the benefit that we've been able to do and the support we've been able to do, and also what you're hearing about what are these incredible young businesses that are happening, new businesses that are happening in your community because of what we've been able to do.
Can I say something, Suzanne,
Yes,
just a
please.
second earlier when we were in our favorite time of the day, QP? Karina was answering a question very eloquently and talking about, the difference that our government has made for families across the country. And I was sitting with MP Soraya, and she said, yeah, like I literally got a message the other day from my cousin who was telling me the impact that this $10 childcare has had on her and her family. And I'm like, yeah, me too. I know people who have like sent us like either tweet messages or, I feel like we all know someone or more than one person who has been impacted by these feminist policies that we're implementing. Because when you're putting women and children at the forefront of what you're doing in your country, you're actually growing your country like much faster than you can imagine. So I just wanted to say that. And Karina, you handled that so so very well. And I think I'm like at the corner of your video there just going like, that's right, because yeah, that's right. And I'm sure I'm speaking for so many people, not just the us who were sitting in QP, our favorite time of the day, but it was also for all the women in London West who feel that way.
Oh, thanks, Ariel. I really appreciate that. I mean, I think there has been a lot of accomplishment. And I loved how you started off the panel by saying like it's great to be a woman in Canada right now. I mean, still hard, still lots that we got to do, but like we're making really big strides. Just on the issue of women entrepreneurs, Minister Ng has been leading the women entrepreneurship strategy, which has invested billions of dollars. And I think the number she said is over 16 or from about 16,000 to now 19,000 women-owned businesses in Canada. I've had the opportunity to work with a number of just amazing women-owned small businesses who are doing great work. Kind of, Suzanne, what you talked about, I mean, pre-pandemic, but then from the pandemic and coming out of it, just like, women who have kind of taken like a passion or a side hustle and turned it into just a really successful business. And they've been able to do that often either with support through the Women Entrepreneurship Strategy or through things that we did, like through the Main Street strategy that was supporting the digital transformation and transition for a lot of small business owners. So we worked with like BIAs around the country and chambers of commerce to get out grants to help digitize the marketplace. And, I'm thinking of a couple of examples in my community where, they're both kind of plant-based. Like one woman, like she just has this incredible green thumb and has been able to, she started like, kind of on Instagram showing these beautiful plants that she had, and people were like, how are you making these? Like, how are you growing these beautiful plants? And then she's opened that and she has like a full warehouse now where she does like repotting and like teaches people all about this. And so that's really cool. And so it's like a business that kind of started online that now has a physical presence. There's another one who her business is called the Wheat Queens, where she makes these beautiful like centerpieces and decorative pieces out of dried wheat. And it's like absolutely stunning. But there's so many examples like that, like in my community, but across the country. And it's really wonderful to see how we've been able to support small business owners and women entrepreneurs, whether it was through the pandemic supports like the CEBA, the wage subsidy, or whether it was through kind of those direct things through the Chamber of Commerce and the BIAs that are enabling women and small business owners writ large to get to that next level, right? And expand their market access. So that's been really, really exciting.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think I know both of you well enough to know about the incredible work that you're doing and the how we don't always talk about our successes and we don't always talk. I know what you're doing on the ground. I've seen both of you and the struggles and the challenges and the successes that you've had in your local ridings. Like the work that's just, we are women. We're, we do the work, we grind it out, we get it done. And we don't always celebrate our successes. So I love that this week and hopefully this month and every day we should celebrate amazing women and their successes. But I would, it's lovely to hear about the stuff that's happening in your local communities about that. And Ariella, I think we may have hopefully haven't lost you, but Karina, I know I want to switch the topic just a little bit, talk about, because as a president of the Liberal Party, we're always trying to get new people engaged and new people to run. And one of those things is to new people to take on different roles, whether it's EDA chairs, whether it's running for us as candidates, whether it's, fundraising chairs and all the work that we need to do. But, can I ask you a little bit about and I know you've spoken about this before, but as we talk about every time, it's a great conversation. Somebody new is hearing it, and that might inspire somebody else to run. But what brought you to this? Because your path was not like, obviously, I'm going to be a young woman with young children. I'm going to run for politics. So, like, talk to us a little bit about what made you join us here.
Well, I was asked to run, so as so many women are, but when I I came back to Canada when I was 26. I had graduated from my master's degree in the UK. I was working in Toronto. I was not thinking about running for office. I was thinking about volunteering for my local Liberal EDA, finding a good candidate and working my little butt off to get them elected because I knew that we could win. And I wanted to get rid of Stephen Harper and I wanted to get Justin Trudeau elected. And I wanted him to be Prime Minister of the country. So I was not thinking about running. I was actually the candidate the candidate recruitment chair on my EDA, and I was having lunch with a mentor of mine, and she said, "You're almost 30," and I was like, "I'm 26. I don't know if that's almost 30." And she said, "You should really think about running," and I was like, "That's really offensive. Like I do plenty of exercise. I don't know why you're like getting into my business here." And she was like, "No, not for exercise, for office." And I was like completely floored because I did not see myself as the candidate. I did not see myself as the person out in front. I thought, who's going to vote for me? I'm this like 26-year-old girl. Like, what do I have to offer? And she was just like, "I think you should think about it. You are very talented. You're very capable. You care so much. You're always talking about getting young people in politics. You're always talking about getting women in politics. You are a young woman. Time to walk the talk." And so I was floored and surprised. And I went home and spoke to my husband and said, "What do you think?" And he was like, "Yeah, I think that's a great idea." I think 8.5 years later, he's like, "What was I thinking?" Yeah, so I then decided that I was going to go to convention in Montreal, actually. This was about 2 weeks before the convention. And I thought, you know what, if I'm thinking about running, I should go and like really get to know everyone, check out the prime minister, like, or check out the leader of the party and make sure that like, if I'm going to run, I'm going to run under the right person. And I went to convention. I was like, this is the time. If there's any time I'm going to do it, it's now. I believe in his vision. I believe in a compassionate, caring Canada that, you know, is you know, there for Canadians. I really believe that. And I wanted to see that change in government. And so, you know, saw the prime minister speak, thought, yes, this is what I'm going to do. And so then I got back to Burlington and started seeking the nomination.
And now you've brought in a fundamental change. Like you were part of bringing in a fundamental change that's going to change a generation and allow
and you know,
more women. I mean, amazing.
Yeah. And one of the first events I had as a candidate, I actually invited Kirsty Duncan to come meet with
Wonderful.
a group of moms to talk about affordable childcare. So this has been my like I've been like a dog with a bone on affordable childcare since before I was elected. And, you know, feel very strongly like you're not a feminist government until you have affordable childcare. And here we are, 8+ years later.
Well, thank you for bringing that in for us. And I love your story. And Arielle, talk a little bit, because your story is slightly different. Grassroots, bring it up and deciding to bring your voice to the federal level. And I'd love to talk a little bit more about how you got engaged.
Yeah. So first of all, sorry about my computer shutting down on me. This is what you trust technology. But I love Karina's story, by the way. I never heard it before. This is my first time story. I just remember that I was at LRB when Karina was elected, and she, you know, I think everybody does this mentally. When you look at a big group of people, and it was a big group, like this was like a huge group, but there are some people who stood out to me, and Karina was one of them because she was a young woman. I was a young woman at the time working at LRB. And I think Karina and I are not that far in age. So like to see someone who's doing something that you think is super cool at the same age as you, it's incredible. So she stood out to me. A number of people stood out to me, but also her journey stood out to me. So I just want to say that. And I think I've said this to her before. She was even one of the first people I wanted to campaign with when I decided to put my name forward. So I reached out to her right away, and she's so kind, guys. She came to campaign with me. For me, I've been a Liberal for quite some time. As Karina said, But I think there was a time where, you know, young people, we shift our minds, our thoughts, our feelings like over and over and over again. But one thing that really stood out to me was there was a moment where many parties were like, just, you know, for me, it felt like my entire life has been hyper focused on the Liberal Party. I never really even knew what other parties were doing ever. But there was a time where young people were trying to be involved in politics, and we were trying to figure out like, where's our values? Where do my values really lie? And I remember this moment being that really grounding moment for me, where I'm like, yeah, my values do lie with the Liberal Party, because this is what I believe in. I believe in the vision of supporting middle-class families, supporting women, supporting LGBTQ plus community, believing in a Canada that's inclusive, where we do not leave anybody behind. And I believe in a compassionate, like Karina said, in a compassionate country. So I was a staffer when Karina and them were getting elected. And then I came back to my community. I was a single mom, actually. I have a 13-year-old, incredible 13-year-old. He's a teenager right now, as you can imagine, but he's still a very incredible child. And I came back because I needed to be more at home and I needed to take care of him. And then I put my name forward to be a city councillor. And how that happened is really interesting. I went to a meeting where they were chatting about, you know, the bus rapid transit, which is actually money that the federal government was giving us, the Liberal government. And in those meetings, I heard a lot of crazy things. People said things like, I don't have anybody in my area who takes the bus, so we don't need this. And that was the day I said, no, that this is it. We have to get involved, because when we don't get involved, people who don't have those realities like just make decisions for all of us. And when we don't have access to transit, or we don't have access to affordable housing, it's because we were not at those tables. That's what made me decide to put my name forward. And I also wanted to be a really positive representation for my son, because a lot of us grew up with no positive representation. When I say that, I mean, I never imagined myself to reach a certain level in my life, because I didn't see many people who look like me in those positions. And when you think about, you know, us women as well, when you walk in a room where there's, even today, when you Google politicians, you're going to see a very starking image. And you think, how do I change this? You get involved, and then other people, I believe in the saying that if you can see them, you can be them. So I wanted to be that representation for myself and for my kid, because there's not that many people who I felt like represented me. I put my name forward, I got elected, became a city councillor in the city of London, and really hyper focused on the housing piece. I got elected in 2018, and I was the first Black woman to be elected in London, Ontario. I also got elected at the same time as Doug Ford got elected. And the policy that Doug Ford was implementing were heavily impacting cities. They were heavily impacting the work that councils could do, including housing. And he switched, you know, some small policies that have a major impact on renters, on, you know, single women, single men, single people who, you know, don't have a second income, single parents. And we literally had to go to the federal government and say, you have to work with us, because we need to continue to provide housing in London. So the National Housing Strategy was a huge reason why I decided to put my name forward in the federal election in 2021, when former MP Kate Young decided to step down. I thought, we have to keep a Liberal member of Parliament from London West. We have to keep the National Housing Strategy. Everybody has to understand that. So I'm going to go out there and campaign as crazy as I did to become a city councillor, so I can be an MP, so that we can continue to keep the National Housing Strategy. And London has saw so many so many investments that come from the National Housing Strategy, different streams. And we continue to do that, because I believe that we need to, in the absence of one government playing ball to support Canadians to have affordable housing, then we need to continue to invest in that. And this is one of the reasons why I decided to run to be an MP. I never thought I would ever run to be an MP. It was never part of my dreams. It was never part of my plans. I still think it's crazy to be, you know, part of the 44th Parliament of Canada. Like, I'm like, what? I came to this country as a refugee. I never imagined I'd be in this role. And it's such an honor to be part of this team, and especially to get to work with incredible people that I once looked at like as role models to me and are now my colleagues. Like I still pinch myself sometimes.
Oh gosh, that is incredible. I love hearing, we're hearing lots of stuff in the chat about how inspirational it is, because I do think, I mean, we as women, right? It's that a million different reasons not to do it there, because we think about everything. We try and sort out all of the, it's like, well, maybe I'll do that, but let me sort out these 15 different things that I need to do before I will say yes. And we need to say yes more. And both your stories are incredible about how we just need to step up. We need to say yes. We need to start from the ground and to make change. And both of you, the incredible work that you've been able to do. So, I mean, thank you so much. And I think the one thing that I want to make sure we highlight is that, there are opportunities for so many different ways to engage in the party, right? There are running to be a member of parliament, and nominations are opened. I'll just put that out there across the country, and if you're at all interested, like, there are lots of stuff that's going on there, but also just engaging and supporting. I mean, not only these two incredible women who we have here tonight, but we have such an incredible women. We, with our by-election wins, we had the 99 and the 100th women in parliament. There's way more work that we need to do, but those are things that we cannot forget, and we need to kind of continue to build on those things. And Karina, I would love to just put you a bit on the spot, because I love to deviate from whatever we were talking about, but a little bit about where do you see now that we're pushing through on childcare, what are the things you're hearing now more? I mean, we've talked about people being able to stay at work, people being able to go into different when you're in the conversations you're having about what $10 what affordable childcare will give to people, what are the inspirational things you're hearing from people as the next things that they're looking to do?
Well, on childcare specifically, at space creation, right? Like, we have to create more spaces. So we committed in the 2021 platform that we would create 250,000 additional spaces. And we are hard at work on that. In order to do that, we also have to recruit and retain ECEs to staff those spaces. And, we don't have a childcare system without the caring, talented workforce and well-compensated workforce. So that's kind of the next phase, is really making sure there's a focus on expansion, because there's still a lot of people who are on wait lists and who don't have access to affordable childcare because they just can't get a space in their community. There's some communities that don't even have childcare. So, and this could be in an urban setting or a rural or remote community. I've had the opportunity a couple of weeks ago in Manitoba to visit Saint Eustache, which is about an hour outside of Winnipeg. It's a Métis community. The Manitoba Métis Federation has been going so well. They've opened 12 new centers. They're looking it'll be 16, I think, by the end of May, created 220 new spaces. So there's lots of stuff going on. That's a small rural community, but they have, I think it's over 40 spaces there. So and there's a demand and there's a wait list, right? So, for people who say, oh, this is just an urban issue, not true. It's not an urban issue. It's no matter where you live in this country, childcare is an important issue for you. And then beyond childcare, the other thing that I'm working on and really excited about is a national school food policy. And this is something that, right across the country, unfortunately, in Canada, 1 in 5 children either go to school or go to bed hungry because they don't have enough food at home. And so I've been doing a lot of engagement on this issue, and I'm very, very excited about it. And I wanted to say this, I meant to at the beginning. Ariel was talking about her son. I've met him. He's amazing. I knocked on doors with him. Like, what an awesome young person, who, you know, credit probably to the awesome mom that he has as well. But anyways, I did want to mention that because he's so awesome. So
And can I say something about the food policy that Karina's working on, which is something that's also implemented in other countries. I had an opportunity to go to the UN in September for education. And I spoke to so many countries that are moving forward in this initiative to make sure that kids can't learn if their stomachs are empty. And it's kind of hard to address poverty if I think feeding everybody at school is one of the best ways to address this without having to identify people. Because I used to work in a school where I was just the inclusion coordinator, but one of my role was to really find at-risk youth and at-risk children and make sure that we are supporting them. And it was incredibly hard to find a way to do this work without having to identify people. That the ideas we had was just to make sure that we're implementing everything for everyone, especially when it comes to food, it comes to access to opportunities, sports, and different activities that kids can do. So I'm incredibly excited to hear that Karina is working on this, and I look forward to how much impact it's going to have, and this is going to continue to help families that are struggling the most in Canada. So thank you so much, Karina, for working on that.
No, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. My mother was a home economics teacher, and she used to have a special program that she'd have muffins and other things created in the morning so that no one had to come in. They didn't have to ask if they were hungry. They would just come in and help, and there'd just be stuff available. And at lunchtime, if you helped clean up, there was, it's because there are so many different needs out there, and people need to make sure they feel respected and supported, and that's where we're going. So there was just so many different initiatives that are happening on the ground, which is why I love, you coming up from the municipal level and coming up, bringing those ideas and things that you're seeing, and creating just these things that we see happening at the municipal level, at the even micro level, that we can bring forward. And I think that's one of the things that we should be very proud of as this government, is the fact that we are a bottom-up approach, and good things that are happening locally get brought in and expanded across the country, and that's where we're trying to go. But that's all the more reason to have amazing women, amazing community leaders, amazing local leaders coming and bringing this stuff forward. So we're so thrilled to have both of you here tonight. And I would kind of throw it back to you in the last few minutes that we have to talk about, I'm sure you said no a million times, as all women do. There's a million reasons not to do it. Karina, I look at you a little. There's a million reasons not to do it. But stepping forward, and the work that we can do, and the support that the party can provide. We are here to support all these people in whatever capacity they have. But maybe, Karina, I'll start with you, and then Ariel, about like, what was the moment that said, okay, I'm going to step forward? Or what would be the message you'd give to these amazing women here with us tonight about saying yes?
This is the best job in the entire world. Nothing beats it. It is hard, it is challenging, but it is so unbelievably rewarding. It tries you every single day, but every single day you get to learn, and most importantly, you get to have impact. And I was talking with a group of women on Monday or Tuesday, sometime this week. And one of the things that I was reflecting on was the fact that, I love what I do every single day, because I know that every single day I'm working to make this country better and to make it better for Canadians. And I have almost as much energy as I did when I ran 7.5 years ago, but I have a 5-year-old now. So I'm just like more tired in general, but which I guess any parent is probably. But you know, if there's anything that motivates me more now is the fact that, you know, I have a 5-year-old who I want to be able to grow up in a country that is safe, that is inclusive, where he belongs, where the water is clean, you can drink it, where the air is clean, you can breathe it, where we've protected our environment, and most importantly, where his rights are protected. And I would say that there was like one very clear moment for me that made me decide that I absolutely wanted to get involved. Like I would say this at first when I was knocking on doors, but people's eyes started to glaze over. So I was like, okay, I won't do that. But it's actually the main motivation for me to get involved and then eventually to run for politics is when Pierre Poilievre, when he was Minister of Democratic Reform, actually made it harder for 150,000 Canadians to vote. I thought, I cannot stand by and let someone take people's rights away, their actual constitutional rights in this country. And I thought, I want to have a member of parliament that is going to stand up for me, stand up for my rights, and work to expand them, not contract them. And so that was before I decided to run for office, but that was one of the main things that got me into politics. And little did I know that, you know, shortly after being elected, the Prime Minister would appoint me Minister of Democratic Institutions, and I would have the chance to reverse that part of the Elections Act that Poilievre had put into place, meaning that, you know, hundreds of thousands of Canadians could exercise their right to vote and their franchise in the way that they always should have been.
Amazing. Thank you, Karina. And Ariel, last to you.
I love that. Actually, what she just said, that I forgot the question, but I think you were asking about like how we can encourage women to run and what can really make them say yes. I think I like the idea that, and it's not just an idea, it is a fact. A lot of women do run because they see where they can contribute. They see a need that they want to solve or a problem in their community, and then they get involved. And it's a clear example on this panel. And I'm sure Susan has her own story she can share with us as well. We all have stories of seeing the need, seeing the loophole in our community, seeing things that are not working for our neighbors, our friends, our families, like people that we care about, Canadians. And then we get involved, you know, and I'm really happy to hear that Karina still loves her job after 8 years. That's good for me because I'm only in 1 year. So you can imagine I am still very excited and energetic. And I'm glad to hear that somebody is still as ecstatic and energetic after 8 years. So there's good chances for me to still be in the same position after a number of years. I would say, here's the thing. There's been so many changes that have happened when women get involved, and more reason for you to be involved. And I know it's not easy to make this decision because we also know that there's still a lot of challenges for women. There's still a lot of barriers for women. There are still only 100 women out of 338 members of parliament. But don't you want to change that? Don't you want to be part of that change? Don't you want, like, it feels good to know that you've done something that another girl one day is going to be able to be grateful for. And I think when you think about, you know, obviously you're not paving the way. So a lot of women have already paved the way. We're all really standing on the shoulders of so many giants. But every single time a woman gets involved, she's holding the door open for the next woman. And I think that's incredible. And I think that we should all be part of that. I also wanted to say, Suzanne, that I had the support. When I decided to actually put my name forward to run to be an MP, it wasn't easy. I had to talk to my family. I had to explain that, yeah, my name might, you know, be all over the place nationally now, not just locally. and it's not a good feeling. It's scary sometimes. You have to go through all those emotions. So I'm not going to lie to you about that. All those emotions really do come at you. But what I want to say is I did have people who supported me to run. I do have people who were working in the party who continue to support me. And those people have actually become like family to me. And they don't work in my office. They work in different ministers' office, but we're like family. And I see them quite often. And we talk about, you know, how to continue to serve London West. And they keep me in check as well. They keep asking me, are you still doing what you said you were going to do? And what can you do better? And I love that. And I think that I want the women who are watching tonight to know that we are in like a circle of friends and family. And if you do decide to make the leap, there's so many women who are waiting and excited to have you join them, because we do actually want to be more than 100 women. We do. We really want that. And within our party, we want to grow our women base. We do. And we support each other. We meet quite often. We talk about how we can continue to support each other. So join our ever-growing family. And I promise you, as Karina can attest to it, it's been 8 years. It's only been a year for me. So, but I listen, Karina's a testament. You're still going to be excited after 8 years. And it is an incredible job. It is an incredible honor to serve Canadians. I mean, think about it. There's about 38 million Canadians in this country, and 5,000 or so people have served this country. That's incredible. And I want to see your name added to that list as well. So if that's not a big pitch, Suzanne, I don't know what else is. We will support you. We will make sure that you have the love and support that you need. And I think one of the most important things for me, it wasn't about the donations. It wasn't about, you know, how many people were out knocking doors with me. It was about the people who checked in to know how I was doing mentally and how I was doing physically, and if I had eaten, if my child was okay. And they really like just showed me so much love that I wanted to continue to be part of this family. And I continue to say this, like, I felt very supported, and that made me want to even bring other people along.
Well, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, because we were talking earlier before we got on the call about the great conversation we had in the parking lot. And these are the things. It's not always glamorous. It's like, how you doing? We're standing in the back against the railing and the wall. Like, how we doing today? Is everybody had a snack? You had a snack. I had a snack. You know, before everybody's got a water bottle. They're filled up to water bottle before we go out the door. I mean, this is, and this is the thing, because I've, as we all have, we've spoken to so many women over the years about being involved, not only to run for us, of course, it's incredibly important, the work that you've done and stepping forward to, but like EDA chairs and fundraising chairs and all of that work. And the fact that I think one of the things that we as a party have tried to, and I know that both of you have benefited of, is that we train people into so many roles, because you can step forward and be like, want to help. I'm not quite sure how to do that, but maybe I can raise some money. Maybe I can be an EDA chair. And we have the support that I hope we try and give to people. And I'm sure your teams as well, where, you know, if you've got your hand up, we will find a role for you, and you will not be there alone. And I think that's the biggest thing that I have found and tried to contribute to others, is like, you're never alone. There are a million people. You do not, especially as women, you do not have to have the answers to all the questions. We are here to build this together with you. And I you know, and I hope the women and everybody who's listening on this call tonight knows that we are here. We are a team effort. We build things together. We build new things together, and we learn and thrive from one another. And you know, with that, Elia, maybe we'll give you a last couple of remarks, even though that was amazing, your last, and then we'll give it up to Karina for the last few words. But thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. So, Elia, over to you.
Thank you so much for hosting this lovely conversation, Suzanne. I think it's always very necessary for us to get together as Liberal women. to chat about the different things that we're doing, our policies, different ways that we can continue to improve, different ways that we can continue to hold space for other women. And thanks to you, Suzanne, you are incredible. I don't know how you do it. You're across the entire country. You're supporting everybody from coast to coast to coast. And we didn't really get to hear much from you because you're hosting the conversation. But I want everybody tonight to know that if she says she's going to come out and support you, she will, because I saw her come to my riding. I didn't even ask her, and she came. She found me, and she was there, and she checked on me, as she said. I mean, we had to change clothes. We had to get water. We had to get snacks, and she was there for all that happen. So thank you for all the work that you continue to do, Suzanne, for the country, for the party, for women in the party. It's not gone unnoticed. And on that note, thank you so much to everyone who has joined us. Merci tout le monde, ceux qui sont venus de Montréal, the people from Calgary, from across the country. I've been, using my phone, so I'm not able to see everything everybody's posting, but I've been catching some of the comments, and it's so lovely to see how engaged you are, and I look forward to seeing you as a candidate. And sorry, just want to add, thank you, Karina, for also being on this incredible panel. It's always lovely to do things with you, and you know how much love I have for you, so I don't have to go on too much about that.
And it's right back at you. So look, this has been so much fun tonight to catch up and to chat and to talk about the great things that are happening in Canada right now. I saw someone say, thanks for giving us, something to be hopeful about. I think there's a lot to be hopeful about. I know these are tough times and, these are uncertain times. But I think that what all of you as Liberals can feel is a lot of pride in what we're doing to help Canadians weather these tough times, but also to set us on a path towards success. And so I hope that you take that away from this conversation. And I really hope that we're going to see some of you at convention in a couple of months. I see some familiar names on the participant list. There's some names that I haven't met yet. I hope to get to meet you in person in Ottawa. If you can't make it to Ottawa, there's a virtual option as well. It is one of the most fun things you're going to do because you're going to meet like-minded people from coast to coast to coast who all have one objective in mind, and that is to make this country better and to get together, have fun, come up with great policies, and figure out how we're going to get reelected in 2025. And so a big thank you to all of you for attending. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your belief in us. And in whatever way that you are or choose or continue to be involved, whether it's as a supporter, whether it's on the board, whether it's as a donor, whether it's potentially as a candidate, this is what makes up the Liberal Party, is every single one of you. So a big thank you for taking time on your Thursday to spend with us. Huge thank you to Ariel and to Suzanne for just a lovely conversation. And just to be with these wonderful women is a real treat for me too.
Well, thank you both for joining us tonight. Thank everyone for joining us tonight. And I will just put one last plug in for the Ottawa Convention. It really will be an amazing opportunity for us to gather together and share ideas. There is a virtual component to it. There's also, if I will put out there, we always need tons and tons of volunteers to make the convention run. So if there is something that, if the financial barrier is a challenge, there are lots of things that we have out, the ways that we can make your participation matter. And it takes hundreds and hundreds of volunteers to make our work that we do at convention happen. So thank you both, Ariel and Karina. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Happy International Women's Day, Women's Week. Gosh, every day should be this way. We could have these inspirational conversations every day, but thank you so much for joining us tonight. And thank you, everyone. Take care. Have a wonderful evening and stay safe.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.